are coming to you from beautiful Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, where this afternoon WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Eric Hosmer and the tough Kansas City first-place Royals. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson, along with Scott Pasednik, who's sitting in for my partner, Steve Stone, for this series. And, Scotty, we lost the first game 3-2. We lost yesterday 7-6. And in both games, we've done something to hurt ourselves. And of course, timely hitting being one of them.
Well, the White Sox have out-hit the Royals 18-14 in this series up to this point, including 3 home runs. But those hits for the White Sox just have not come in the most opportune times. On the other hand, the Royals are not only creating opportunities for themselves, but they're taking advantage of those opportunities with runners in scoring position.
Well, these guys are one of the most opportunistic clubs in the major leagues.
Well, and then you combine that with the defense and athleticism of this Royal club, and we all know what the back end of that bullpen is capable of doing. It's easy to see why they're atop the American League in wins.
Well, we got a couple of left-handers out there. For them, it'll be Danny Duffy, who is 3-1 lifetime against us, and for us, it'll be Jose Quintana, who is 0-6 against this ball club. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Between the White Sox and the Royals. We thought we'd take just a second here to visit a little bit more with Robin Ventura, specifically about the performance of his 2 main pitchers over the last couple of starts. Both Chris Sale and Jeff Samardzija have had a tough time since that Boston-Cleveland road trip, and I asked Robin if there's anything he can pinpoint about what the problems might be for his 2 starting pitchers.
I don't know if you really can. I mean, I think they've gone through some great stretches. Part of it is just going through the season, and it's hard to keep the pace up. That I know for Chris, that the pace that he had going is always hard. Is he going through a rut? I think it's somewhat of that. I think everybody goes through that. He's human, but again, you look at where he's at in the past and how he's gotten through it. He's always been able to bounce back, and we've seen great stuff out of him. He's had I don't know if they're the same, but he's had certain ruts that he's gone through in the past, and he's been able to always bounce back and get on top of his game again.
We hope that happens for Chris Sale. He's expected to get the ball tomorrow night when the Sox open that homestand against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We'll come back to Kansas City in just a second. Turn it over to Hawk Harrelson and Scott Podsednik for the call of today's game. Sox and the Royals here on WGN.
Your home for the most live sports. Another big crowd on hand here at Kauffman Stadium. Had 39,000 plus last night, 36,000 the night before. As we get set to finish this brief 3-game road trip before coming home, and tomorrow night starting up that 6-game homestand, 3 with the Angels, off day on Thursday, and then 3 with the Cubs. But right now, let's check out Robin Ventura's lineup for this afternoon. It'll be the top third of Eaton, Ramirez, and Abreu. Middle third of Cabrera, Garcia, and Trace Thompson making his first major league start. Sanchez, Flowers, and Beckham bring up the bottom. And defensively, Paolo Orlando in left, Jared Dyson in center, Alex Rios in right. Around the horn, Zobrist. He's only played 20 innings in his career at third base. Escobar at short, Infante at second, Hosmer at first, and the battery of Salvador Perez and the 26-year-old southpaw Danny Duffy out of Lompoc, California. Duffy, as I mentioned, 3-1 against us in his career. 1-0 this season. And that 3-1 mark, he carries also a 3.09 ERA. So, Scotty, he has been tough against our guys.
He has. Power left-hander is going to come at you with a good fastball, trying to work both sides of the plate, accompanying that with a good curveball with some good action on it, and mixing in an occasional change to righties.
And let's check out the men in blue this afternoon. Behind the plate, crew chief Alfonso Marquez at first base, Dan Bellino. Chris Siegel had a real good ball game. He'll be at second. And Laz Diaz, who had a bad ball game last night, he's at third. So Duffy taking his warm-up tosses.
Duffy 2-0 in day games in 5 starts this season, so he likes the daylight.
And our guy Jose Quintana's had a tough time in the day. But if you missed the opening, we lost the opener here 3-2. Had men on second, nobody out, couldn't do anything with it. Had them in on second and third, nobody out, couldn't do anything with it. And then yesterday had other opportunities, but as Scotty told you, we about hit these guys 18-14 in the first 2 games with 3 home runs. They have none. And yet we lose 2 1-run ball games.
Both teams have played clean defense over these first couple of games. I think the difference have just been situational hitting. Sox just not being able to do it with runners in scoring position.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. As the DH this afternoon, Adam Eaton gets set to lead it off. Adam comes in hitting at .267, 9 homers, 27 driven in.
Adam hitting at a .480 clip on the road over the past couple of weeks, so should be a good matchup between these 2 lefties.
Adam 1 for 6 with a couple of RBIs in the series, and here's the first pitch of the ball game. Taken for a strike.
Duffy has not allowed a hit to a lefty over his last 3 outings, so he'll be looking to snap that streak today.
Adam has faced him 14 times, has 3 hits. And the count 0-2. Had a slight rain shower prior to the game, but they said we'd start on time, and we are. He's got that little funky move, in his motion just before he releases.
Yeah, and he's got good angle on his pitches. You can tell he's coming from that second base side, so I can see why he's tough on lefties.
Right there. That's up high. And here at Kauffman Stadium, 330 down the lines, 387 in the gaps, and 410 straightaway center. Full count. Outfield short, swung around to the left. One out.
Runs this 94-mile-an-hour fastball up and in on Eaton. Wasn't able to catch up to it. He's got some life on his fastball, Hawk.
Yes, he does. When he spots it, as we talked about prior to the game, if he spots his fastball, we're in trouble.
5 quality starts over his last 6 outings.
There's first pitch strike to Alexei. Alexei 2 for 8 in the series, comes in at .236, 7 homers and 38 driven in. Gap out there in right center. Alexei, 4 for 16 lifetime off Guppy. The 4 hits, all of them have stayed in the park. Little nub right in front of the mound. He's got plenty of time. So with 2 out, let's check out our picks to click. Jim Angio, our director and the crew, well, they went with Ramirez. Scotty and Steve are going to go with Tyler Flowers and Mike Mazza, Kenny Wiz, Tom Eichstadt, Pete Canizzo, Laura Arenas, Mary Weiss, Nick Bristow, Charles Johnson. All the great folks in the ticket office. We're going to go with Trace Thompson, making his first major league start. So here's Abreu. 296, 21 homers, 67 driven in.
Hit a pair of solo home runs off Guthrie last night, his 5th career multi-homer game and first of this season. Swinging the bat well as of late.
5 for 13 with a homer lifetime off Danny Duffy. There's a strike. Sox come in hitting at 250 as a club with a 4.09 team ERA. You got a good one right there, Cookie. And the count 0-2.
Duffy pitched a career high 8 innings, allowing just 1 run and a 4-1 victory over the Sox back July 19th. Running at
95.
95 miles an hour. Get it ready.
And Zobrist back and well off the line at third. That's hit right at him. And Jared Dyson makes a nice recovery to make the catch. So hang Wolfham for Abreu, and after a half inning of play, it's our guys nothing and their guys coming to bat. Against our guy, it'll be Escobar, Zobrist, and Hosmer. Top third, middle third of Morales, Perez, and Rios. Bottom third of Paolo, Orlando, a speedster, Infante, and another speedster in Dyson. There's our defense, left, right, Cabrera, Thompson, Garcia. Around the horn, Beckham, Ramirez, Sanchez, Abreu, and the battery of Tyler Flowers and our 26-year-old southpaw Jose Quintana. There are his numbers 6 and 9, as I mentioned. 0-6 lifetime against these Royals.
Quintana pitches to contact, not going to walk a lot of guys, so look for this Kansas City Royals lineup to be aggressive early.
First pitch to Alcides Escobar down low. Comes in hitting at 275. A couple of homers. He's driven in 36. 2 for 7 in the first 2 games.
Escobar has not drawn a walk in his last 76 plate appearances, so look for Quintana maybe perhaps to expand the strike zone a little bit with Escobar.
Against us, he's just been something. He's been a pain in the derriere. Chops that one foul.
Quintana has made 9 consecutive quality starts on the road, so pitching well away from U.S. Cellular Field.
Escobar this year, .333 hitter against us. Lifetime, a .293 hitter. Count evens at 2. Royals come in hitting at .269 as a team with a 3.60 ERA. And that's low. So a full count.
Just missing down with that 92-mile-an-hour fastball. You don't want this guy on base.
He's sort of backed off on that a little bit this year. He's got 10 and 15 attempts, but he will cause you some problems.
Yeah, sometimes just that threat of running over there is sometimes all that hitter behind you needs.
Quintana comes in with 123 strikeouts, and that is just his 30th walk. So here's Zobrist. Switch hitting all-purpose player. As I mentioned, playing third today.
Takes heat off Ned Yost when you can plug a guy like that in just about anywhere. You know he's going to get the job done for you.
There's first pitch strike.
Professional hitter, stays within himself, knows his strengths, maintains discipline at the plate. He's got a plan.
Yeah, he's been dangerous against us. He's a .274 career hitter against us with 8 homers, 28 knocked in, and those a lot of those 28 are big runs. That one at 91, and the count, 0-2.
He's hitting .440 against lefties over the past couple of months, so been feasting on lefties as of late as well.
If you get a guy that can hit left-handed pitching, he's going to be around for a while. Just did get a piece of that one up and out of the zone.
Outfield pretty much straight away.
There are a lot more right-handers that can hit good right-handed pitching more than there are left-handers that can hit good left-handed pitching.
No question. Escobar with just an average lead at first base.
No score, bottom of the first if you're just tuning in. Yes, he did. He gone. Nasty right there.
He gets that little slider on. I know the hand is over, ties him up. Not able to do anything with it.
That'll bring up Hosmer, who's 1 for 8 with a couple of RBIs in the series. There's a breaking ball strike. Hosmer. .258 career hitter against us. 8 homers and 31 driven in.
Hot as of late, 439 over the past month.
That's trouble. And it's 1-0 Kansas City. That leadoff walk. This is 22nd double, 61st RBI.
Ekatana trying to get that fastball in. Not that bad of a pitch on the inside part of the plate. Hosmer is able to get the barrel to it.
So here's Morales. Leading this club in RBIs.
Speed of Escobar, if you're on first base, you're in scoring position.
Big rip right there. Yeah, he goes real good from first to third. In this case, first to home. Morales, much more power left-handed. 10 homers, 48 knocked in. Right-handed, 2 homers, 30 knocked in. But his average, right-handed, 313.
Kansas City signing Morales has paid off. Veteran switch hitter entering play today, 3rd in the American League, 78 RBIs, tied for 3rd in doubles. He can hit and he can drive in runs.
If you're going to get anything down low, it's got to be down and out of the zone. That ball hit deep. It's 3-0.
Fastball up and over. Morales doesn't try to pull it. He stays with it and drives it in right center field for a homer. These Kansas City hitters take what they get, Hawk. They don't try to do too much. They go with the pitch. Professional hitters.
Well, that's the reason they're a better hitting team than we are. They don't strike out. They strike out way fewer times than anybody else in Major League Baseball. They put the bat on the ball. That's why I call them those Kansas City specials. They'll get more broken bat, duck snorts, little infield singles than any other team because they don't strike out.
Yeah, those 2 out jam shots score runs and they win ball games.
And yesterday, for the first time, Alex Gordon, Gold Glove left fielder, really face of this ball club, took line batting practice for the first time after coming back from a bad groin injury.
I've had plenty of those in my career. They are no fun, Hawk. Especially for a guy who made a living trying to run.
Yeah. I was lucky in that respect. I used to get them in football, but not in baseball. He gone. 2 down. If guys like yourself where your legs are the biggest part of your arsenal, that's not good.
No, you got to take care of them. It took me a while to learn how to stay healthy and learn to do the things I needed to do to stay out on the baseball field.
Here's Rios. Leadoff walk started this whole thing off.
Rios knows Quintana's going to be around the plate, so he came up looking for a first pitch fastball, got one right down the middle, didn't miss it. Yeah, when you can get that leadoff hitter on, Hawk, it just changes the whole dynamic of an inning.
Yeah. Quintana's a different pitcher out of the stretch than he is with nobody on. He works much slower when he got nobody on. He works quick as a rule, and when he works quick, he usually pitches very well. So Paulo Orlando was recalled from AAA Omaha this morning. Former Sox farmhand, and he can run from Brazil.
Ouch. In his third stint with the Major League Club after being optioned July 30th.
Just to show you about the Royals, they have 630 strikeouts. And that'll do it. But some damage is done. That leadoff walk caused a lot of problems, and they lead at 3-0. inning, we trail it already 3-0. Cabrera at 282, 7 homers, 54 driven in, and there's first pitch strike from Duffy, who's going to come right at you. Danny Duffy, from what we've seen of him, is not afraid of the bat.
You know, when you can run it up there 95 miles an hour, why shy away from the strike zone?
That's low. Nelke 2 for 8 in this series, and also 2 for 8 lifetime against Duffy. Talking about those strikeouts, though, they have struck out over 200 times less than we have.
Yeah, when you can put the bat on the ball, you're going to put pressure on the defense.
We have struck out. They have struck out 630 times. We have struck out 833 times. And in the American League, you've got some clubs that struck out a couple of them over 900 times. Houston and Tampa Bay. Houston 977 times.
As a hitter, you just want to try to eliminate getting yourself out. If you get 3 out of 10 times, you're good, but you can just try to eliminate mistakes, stay disciplined within the strike zone, and swing at strikes.
Well, just take the disparity between Kansas City and Houston. Almost 350 more times they have struck out than Kansas City. Ivy. That'll bring up Trace Thompson. Trace came on in game 1 after Adam hurt himself in a diving catch. Had an infield single and scored. Then he had a double. So he's 2 for 3 in his young major league career.
Getting his first major league at bat this past Tuesday, admitting that he was a bit anxious, a little nervous, but that's to be expected, obviously. Interested to see what this kid's about.
Hey, he's got some good stock. Comes from some good genes.
Yeah. Brother Klay Thompson, shooting guard for the NBA Golden State Warriors, so there is some athleticism running through that family.
Dad, Michael, played 12 or 13 years in the NBA, and was a pretty good player. Oh, and 2 the count.
Hawk, you played some basketball back in the day, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, basketball and football are my 2 favorite sports to play. Beats that one foul.
Yeah, I enjoy a pickup game of basketball every now and then.
That's back over our heads.
Here's a look at Trace's first major league hit. It's a hit.
Off the end of the bat. So that is 6 up, 6 down for Danny Duffy. Diamondbacks. First pitch strike. 3-0 Royals. 3-0 for them. No runs, no hits, no errors for us. Duffy has retired everybody he's seen.
Infante going 0 for 4 last night. He'll be looking for his first hit of this series.
Yeah, he's 0 for 6 in the series. 4 for 24 lifetime off Quintana.
Leaving that fastball up at times here early in the game.
You know yourself, you had some clubs that had a tough time getting you out. You've had some clubs that you had a tough time getting hits off of. That's the nature of this beast.
Yeah, it is funny. There's no real rhyme or reason.
No.
It's just kind of the way the season unfolds. But
a lot of the guys that you probably got were very comfortable and got hits off of were better pitchers than the guys that got you out.
Yeah. I remember facing Zach Greinke. I fared well against Zach for some crazy reason. He's one of the best in the game. There's no rhyme or reason behind it.
He gone. Change up.
Nice changeup on the outer half of the plate. Had Omar in front.
So here's Jared Dyson. He's a game changer, especially in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning.
Yeah, I like watching these athletes, watching these guys that can run. They can impact the game in so many different ways.
Yeah, you look at it from a little bit different perspective than most people, because that was your bailiwick, so to speak. And for you youngsters out there, for Sox fans that didn't see us in 05, he stole 59 bases for us. Scott did, my partner sitting beside me, in 05, and he stole 70 for Milwaukee in 04. Over 300 in his career. How many guys have over 300?
Well, Hog, I wasn't going to hit a lot of home runs. I wasn't going to drive in a lot, so I had to find ways, different ways to help clubs win, and that was with my legs. Good fastball up the zone there. Dyson 1 for 3 with his 6th triple of the season last night. His 6 triples are tied for 7th in the American League. He can pick them up and put them down.
He can also throw a little bit.
Yes, he can.
Close, didn't get it.
Good pitch there by Quintana. Just off the corner. Yeah, up and down this Kansas City lineup, you have athletes. You got guys who can impact the game with their athleticism, with their legs. Continue putting pressure on the defense.
Lays off the breaking ball, so a full count.
Dyson putting a good at bat here together. That's what guys of his caliber have to do. You got to go up with a plan, with approach, grind out at bats, find any way you can to reach first base.
Broken bat. There's a Kansas City special for you right there.
Able to get this fastball up and in on him, but stays with it, didn't try to pull it. Didn't catch the barrel, but it found grass.
There's Escobar. The Dyson, who is 19 for 21 in stolen bases. And he's got a good lead. He gets one of the bigger leads against left-handed pitching of anybody you'll see.
Yeah, he does.
A lot of times what it does, though, as Scott was talking about, it just changes the whole dynamic of an inning when you get the leadoff man or a man like this aboard.
No question.
That sphincter changes a little bit.
Changes the whole tempo of the game, changes the whole mindset of Quintana out there. He's thrown over twice, so he's thinking about Dyson at first base. That's going to do nothing but affect the way he goes about and executes his pitches to Escobar. That's his job, to sway that pitcher's attention.
That was a fastball up, couldn't get it.
He doesn't necessarily have to steal a base, just the threat of him being over there, the threat of running, sometimes just as good.
Oh, baby, look at the pick and peg and
nice play.
Rack him up. That'll retire the side as number 118. Double plays turned by our guys this year. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for over 37 years. So to join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side. 3-0. Royals, Sanchez, Flowers, and Beckham. So, you know, Scotty Pide's getting back to stealing bases. It's a little akin to golf in the respect of there are a lot of guys who have tremendous putting strokes, but they can't make many putts because they can't read the greens.
Mm-hmm.
In baseball, there are a lot of guys with terrific speed who can't steal a base because they can't read the pitcher.
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes in it than just speed.
You better believe it. 2-0.
Knowing your opponent, knowing his tendencies, being prepared. I tried to take the field as knowing as much as I could about that guy out there on the mound.
3-0. Carlos hitting at .233, 2 for 5 with an RBI in the series.
But most importantly, the attitude. You got to want to be able to get to second base. You have to want it. I took pride in trying to get on and provide energy at the top. You have to have that mindset.
.30 pitch. There's one.
It was understanding your skill set, understanding what you bring to this club is going to help this club win ball games.
And there's ball 4. Well, I don't think Carlos is there yet, but he's going to be a guy. That's our first base runner. He's going to be a guy. Maybe next year or the year after, when he goes to the plate and he's leading off an inning, when the pitcher goes 3-0 on him, he's going to take 2. Because he's not afraid to hit with a strike, and the more he gets comfortable, he won't be afraid to hit with 2 strikes. And make that guy, put the pressure on him to throw a strike. As there is ball 1 to Tyler. Tyler at 218, 7 homers. He's driven in 28.
Outfield shaded to the opposite side. Big gap in left center.
That hit him. So the first 2 men aboard.
Looked like a curveball, like got away from Duffy. We'll take it.
Well, people talking about our catching. Our catching, if you take Tyler and Soto, between them, they have 15 home runs and 47 RBIs. Now you go to the most highly thought of catcher in the American League, Salvador Perez. He's got 16 homers and 48 RBIs.
The production is there.
It is there. So here's Gordon. See what Robin wants to do. Hosmer thinks he's going to lay one down. Zobrist even with the bag and off the line at third. Now back up a step. Now Hosmer backs up a step. And he takes ball 1.
Want to remain patient here. Duffy walked the last guys, having trouble finding the strike zone.
Yeah, walk and hit batsman.
So he needs to remain patient. Get a pitch he can handle.
And the count 2-0.
Make him throw something you like.
Three and 0. Take 2. There's 1.
One spot, 1 speed.
He got it. And because of inactivity underneath.
Dismissed him.
Pretty good pass on it.
It's tough to step in after not having live at bats for a while and square up a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Fail. Bites that one off. That one at 95 again.
Like he's coming off it just a little bit. If you keep that body square just a click longer, keep that bat traveling down the zone.
That's what he's been doing in his bats lately because they've been so infrequent. And there's a base hit.
There it is.
Here comes Carlos. Dyson will get it back in, and it's a 3-1 ball game with 2 on, nobody out, and don't stop now, boys.
Good at bat put together here by Beckham. Gets a fastball right out over the plate, puts a good swing on. You said body stayed just a click more closed on that swing right there. Kept that bat in the zone.
Here's Adam. He struck out on a 3-2 pitch. Now the corner's in a little closer.
Good pitch to hit there. Just missed it.
Nice little block right there by Salvador. Kept it in front of him.
Yeah, he doesn't let too many get by him.
He's a good catcher. He's fun to watch.
Gets it down to second base under 2 seconds.
And he will pick you behind off first or third.
Got to be on your toes with him behind the plate.
That ball gets through him as we talk about it.
I guess we need to continue to talk about it.
Yeah. Wild pitch. And here we go again. And on second, third, nobody out.
Squeaks under the glove there. Gives the Sox runners in scoring position. Position we haven't been real efficient in here as of late. You have to wonder if that shoulder is affecting Eaton at all at the plate. Leaving the game the other night after that play in center field.
Well, he's coming out of it just a hair. So it could be. That's high. And a full count.
Activity in the Royals bullpen. Chris Medlin getting loose. Yeah, that body's coming out just a little bit. You have to wonder if that shoulder might be giving just a little bit of.
Looks like he's starting it okay, and all of a sudden he gets about halfway there and he just comes out of it.
Comes out of it, yeah.
One out.
Swinging that ball 4. Hawk 4 runners got to first, got to second and third. I'm wondering if the thought of laying one down even crossed his mind.
I don't think it did. As 1-0 the count to Alexi. Hit a little nubber back to Duffy. And there's a base hit. They're going to wave him around. Dyson goes off the mark. Now Alexei will get back in, and this game is tied at 3.
Alexei taking advantage of runners in scoring position. Getting a good pitch to hit right out over the plate. Doesn't try to pull it, stays on it, drives it right back up the middle.
So the leadoff walk.
Good swing by Alexei.
It was. He didn't turn the head of the bat over.
Kept that bat traveling down the line.
So here is Jose, and also gives Jose a chance to swing the bat. Because if he had struck out, they would probably go a little pitch around on him. He lined out hard to Dyson in center field.
Good.
Last night. That's the first one. And this was just a high fly ball. Got a little help from the wind on this one. Take it right on out of here.
Hawk, it must be nice to miss balls that leave the ballpark.
Isn't it? Of course, he can't go from home to first like you could.
Outfield straightaway and deep. Alexei with an average lead at first base.
That breaking ball, no. 2-2.
As you see there, Brayu, last 17 games, hitting at just under 360 clip with 7 homers. Swinging the bat well.
Well, both 3-run innings started with the leadoff walk.
Mentioned a couple nights ago they score, what, 37% of the time?
It was a little bit earlier. Now I just talked with Joe Groove. He went to StatSync and they say it's 35.4%. Rios and right.
It seems more than that. I would have thought it had been higher.
Me too. At least for us, it seems like every time we do it, they score. Here's Melky. Melky popped up to Infante. Second base, takes up high. That's a good job right there.
Outfield straight up. Gerard shaved over to the right field side. Big gap in left center.
Uh-oh, I got Perez. I'm evidently pretty good at watching Melky's action.
It looked like it caught him on that left wrist. That can't feel that good. I don't know why you'd ever want to be a catcher. Oh.
That's the quickest way to the big leagues outside of being a left-handed pitcher.
One reason, I guess.
Last year in American Legion ball, our catcher, his dad was in the Air Force, got transferred. Nobody else would do it. So I caught the last 39 games we played. I had a ball back there.
Really? Something you like, Melky?
And Infante's going to get him again. But we come up with a crooked number. We'll go to the bottom of the third. This game is tied at 3. So go to www.wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. There's Darth and Slugger going in a tug of war.
Darth Vader needs to hit the waiver.
Zobrist will lead it off here near half of the third. Quintana gave up to 3 in the first. Struck out Zobrist on a slider down and in on a check swing. Johnny Danks, who pitched well in that first game, got a little tired in the sixth. It was hot and muggy.
Yeah, he threw the ball well.
Yeah, he did. He struck out 6.
I think he got just a little fatigued there in the sixth. Left just a couple of pitches up that inning, and the Royals took advantage of him.
That's it. Made a couple of mistakes, and they didn't pop them up or ground them out.
Like we talked about, a game that hinges on 1 or 2 pitches, even a play. It's incredible how the momentum can change.
2-1 to count to the 34-year-old veteran.
I remember talking to John Lackey in the past. He talked about during the course of a game, I know there are going to be 2 to 3 pitches that I have to execute, and the ball game's going to hinge on those 3 pitches.
Tom Seaver used to say that. Tom said there's going to be, of course, when he went out there for 9. He didn't want anything. He didn't want to see anybody get up in that bullpen. But he said there's going to be 3 to 5 outs in that game that I've got to get. Beckham.
Nice play.
Oh, we've had some sterling play with Beckham and Saladino down there.
And Hog, I think the good ones just have a knack for rising to that occasion and being able to execute that pitch when they need it.
But just like you said, Lackey, he's already programmed his mind to be ready for that pitch,
right,
rather than all of a sudden have it pop up and all of a sudden he says, "Uh-oh,
yep,
now I got to make a pitch." Well, he's already programmed his mind. He has to do that. Seaver already programmed his mind over his career. There's going to be 3 to 5 outs that he's got to get during the course of a game. If he does, he's probably going to win. Hosmer, who doubled, goes out to Melky, so 2 out.
You know, we talk about approach and mindset a lot, but that's what it boils down to. When you find yourself in those situations, that you stay calm, you have the right plan and approach, and you stick with it. You don't come outside of yourself trying to do things you can't do.
Well, remember when we were talking yesterday, I mentioned to you how you asked me something that caused me to say that my approach was when I was on deck and there was a man on third. Say it was a man on third and nobody out. I would just hope that that guy, in this case most of the time was Yastrzemski, would either pop up and strike out. So now I could get him in. And it's not being selfish. That's just getting your mind ready. Whereas you've got a little bit of a sense of control rather than pulling for him to get him in. And then all of a sudden he does pop up or strike out. Now you say, uh-oh, now it's up to me.
It's on me. Yeah.
Different mindset.
Correct. Yeah, having the talent and the ability to do things is one thing, but then having the mindset, the right attitude when you're faced in those certain situations.
Let me ask you a question, Scotty. You played a long time, big leagues, pro ball, as did I. How many guys did you see change up that you played against or played with that had everything it took physically to be a big league ball player, and they never made it?
Oh, I played with countless guys.
That's it.
That
a bunch of them
that never got out of AAA.
Yeah.
Had all the ability in the world.
They could never get that approach. Morales pops it up. Sanchez, that's a nice 1-2-3 inning after getting game tied up. By purchasing an Abreu 4-pack. Now, each pack includes 4 upper box game tickets, 4 hot dog value meals, and a parking pass. Abreu 4-packs are available now for all remaining Mondays through Thursday games. So visit whitesox.com/Abreu to order yours today. First pitch to Avi. Hit in the right field. Rios. Avi now 0 for 2. First time up, grounded out to Infante. Yeah, but you see guys that play with guys, play against guys that can do it all physically, and yet you know that they're not going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, having that ability is one thing, but being able to manage it and get the most out of it is a different story. And then on the other hand, I played with guys who, they walk through the front door, you look at them and say, who's this cat? Then you see what's inside of him, his heart, passion, will. Go out there and kick someone's tail.
I think that's the reason we all love David Eckstein so much.
That's it. Destin Pedroia.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite players, best high fastball hitter in the American League. Well, he's got to be as short as he is. Everything's high to him. And now Altuve, 2 best high fastball hitters. Trace went out to Infante. That pitched nicely.
Yeah, I like his poise at the plate. Not jumpy, not moving him around all over the box.
He's got the talent. He's got the talent is there. There's a line drive base hit into left field.
Nice swing here. Nice quiet body. Lets his fastball get to him. Keeps the body closed. That's a good swing on it.
I've been following him. I follow him every day and have been for the last 4 years. I saw him first time in spring training. And you look at him and you say, this kid is going to be in the big leagues. And it was watching him, he struggled, and all of a sudden would come on. Then he struggled, all of a sudden he'd come on. Struggle, and you could just see him building that foundation. Not many Mike Trouts and Bryce Harpers come around.
No.
We're going to see Mike Trout tomorrow. Making plans to be with us at US Cellular Field. 1st of 3 against those Angels. Albert Pujols. Off day on Thursday, and the Cubs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Oh, and 1 to count to Carlos, who started off that 3-run third with a good at bat. Base on balls.
Outfield shaded to right field. A little bit of a gap in left center. Thompson with an average lead over at first.
Watch out.
You got to stay on your toes with that guy behind the plate.
Trace is a good example. He's got enough speed to be a base stealer, even though he's a big man. He had 11 stolen bases down at Charlotte, but if he ever got a technique like you developed, for example, he can steal 25, 30 bases.
Yeah. Sanchez offering at that pitch, a 2-1 pitch out of the zone. He lays off that, gets him to 3-1, Hall.
Yep. Yep.
That puts 2 guys on right there.
Where he has sometimes with 2 strikes is against a good right-hander with a good slider down in the end.
Thompson on the move with that 3-2 pitch.
To me, Trace is one of those guys that you say, okay, you've been around a long time, Hawk. What you say, what kind of player is he going to be? I would say right now he's got a chance to be a guy, 20, 25 home runs, 280, steals some bases, real good outfielder. There he goes. There's a base hit.
Keep running.
He did. He knew where the outfielders were. I saw him in the game the other night checking the outfielders. One out, runners at the corners, and here comes Yost.
Nice piece of hitting here by Sanchez. Gets count to 2-1, gets a pitch right out over, doesn't try to pull it, stays with it, drives it into right field. Here's a look at Thompson. Moves well for a big guy.
So that's going to be it for Duffy. I'll be getting back to Sanchez. Sanchez is going to be here a long time. Danny Duffy departs, and we'll be back. Appearance, 5.40 ERA. Bonus at 2.40 against him. He's worked in 6 2/3, has given up 6 hits, 5 of which stayed in the park. So we have runners at the corners, 1 out. And here's Tyler. Tyler was hit by a pitch last inning and came around to score. 3-4-0 for us, 3-4-0 for them. First pitch strike.
Tyler not be able to run well. Royals will be looking to get a ground ball here, get out of this inning. If we can pick this runner up third, less than 2 outs.
Count evens. That cost us dearly in game 1 of this series. 2 things you got to do. You've got to play well inside your own division, and you've got to win close ball games if you're going to try to have a chance to go to postseason.
Yeah, if you're going to win those ball games, you have to get those guys in. The opportunities there.
Good eye. 2-1.
Say Medlin's staying in, trying to keep Flowers from getting extended.
Decent lead, just a decent lead by Carlos. Woo. There it was. There it was, right there.
A good pitch to hit here. A little bit of sink on it. They're coming in there again.
Well, he had two good pitches to hit. And then swings at one inside.
Yeah, that's in off the plate. Tough to put a good swing on a good pitcher's pitch.
Now it's up to Gordon. Had a big base hit, RBI single, and he scored last inning. We just have been a very inept team this year. Situational hitting.
Then you look across at the team who's atop the American League in wins. They get it done in those spots.
Another thing that gets me a little bit too is you listen to Todd Steverson, our hitting coach, talk to these guys. And he's telling them the right things to do, and yet the game starts, they get a man on third. All of a sudden, poof, they can't do anything. Meanwhile, we blow another opportunity. On the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, more than any other university in the state. So for more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu. Bottom of the fourth. Perez, Rios, and Paulo Orlando.
Despite that brief shower right before game time, turned into another nice day here in Kansas City. Huh?
Yeah, cooled it off just a little bit. Real hot. We got here. Here's Salvador, struck out swinging on a fastball. Yes, he did, says Dan Bellino. Top of the 7th in Detroit. Boston leading the Tigers 3-1. Top of the 8th in Cleveland. 8-0 Indians over Minnesota. Two balls and a strike. Leadoff single by Perez. And a reminder, on Saturday, August 15th, come see our Sox take on the Cubs at 6:10, and all fans are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. All the good folks at Magellan Corporation. So purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Hulk, I like the approach of this Kansas City lineup. I like what they do up there.
Well, they get it done.
Good pitch there by Quintana. Didn't get the call.
Rios single sharply in the left field, his first trip. One of the things I like about the Kansas City lineup is the fact they don't have one or two, especially two guys that are going to strike out 130, 140 times. And everything, as we have talked about, is contagious in this game.
Here we got a quote from Ned Yost today. Big walks, nice walks. I don't see the panic at bats that we had probably a year ago and a half or even a year ago at this time, and I haven't seen them all year long. It just shows their growth and maturity and their experience as major league players. They have grown and matured, and you can tell it by their at-bats.
Well, you could see it starting in 2013, and I thought they should have won the division then. A couple of big games in Detroit that turned the whole thing around.
I think they understand who they are. They know their identity. They know the game they want to play, and they stick to it.
That ball high and deep into center field. Pace back on the track. So 1 out.
Rios put a charge in this one. Thompson gets back to the wall nicely. Able to make the play. A lot of room out there in right center field. Yeah, for a big kid, Thompson moves well out there.
They're very graceful, very athletic. He's the kind of kid you just got to let go through the growing pains. Don't fill his head with a lot of stuff. Just let him play. Let him play, because he's a smart youngster, and he'll learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, is understanding that it's that you're going to fail when you're going to face some adversity.
Well, that's how you learn. That's how you learn. You learn more from losing and adversity than you do from being successful.
Yeah, the important thing is how you react to it.
After my first 5 or 6 years, that finally sunk into my head a little bit. That you have to learn how to take a strikeout. You have to learn how to take an 0 for 4. if you can't, you're probably not going to make it. You're probably going to fail.
Yeah.
High, slicing, foul. Got there easily.
Well, especially in this game, you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. You're going to be good, and you've got to be able to deal with those 7 outs. You can't handle them, and you get all bent out of shape, and you're going to get eaten up.
Yeah. It takes your rationale away. Here's Infante. He struck out on a good changeup. After giving up the leadoff single to Perez, a nice 1-2-3 finish to that inning, and win to the 5th, tied at 3. It's 5 hits, no errors for their Royals. They're in the top of the 5th inning. We go back to the top of the order. Eaton, Ramirez, and Abreu. Chris Medlin in relief of Danny Duffy. Adam 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts, swinging on fastballs. So that right there would tell you that might be a little ouchy in that left shoulder. He's a good fastball hitter. Breaking ball was not a strike, but it was called a strike. That was a huge topic of conversation in the game, in the locker room after the game last night.
Yeah, Hawk, he's getting good pitches to hit. He's flying open just a click. You got to think that shoulder's got to have a little something to do with that. Yeah, Laz didn't have his best night.
No, he had a bad night. Real bad. Especially when you got a 1-run ball game and you got your big horse at the plate and he calls him out on a pitch. It's about 6 or 7 inches outside.
This is where Adam makes his hay. He's looking to reach base.
That was a strike, and he didn't get it. That had part of the corner.
Get himself on base, set the table. These guys behind him.
When Adam's swinging that bat well, he's seeing it at probably about 56, 57 feet. Right now, he's seeing it probably 54, 55 feet.
Yeah, that swing just doesn't have that snap that he had a few days ago.
Your real good hitters, your great hitters, most of those guys in Cooperstown, they saw that pitch 58, 59 feet. In my career, I was basically a 54, 55 foot hitter. So who's going to hit the most? Do the math. 3-2.
Good at bat.
Especially when you're ouchie. And let's check out our Mazda replay. Look at this. 2-run single for Alexei, picking up his 39th and 40th RBIs.
Alexei, one of 3 players in Sox history with 100 home runs and 100 stolen bases. That's impressive.
Just a little bit low.
Outfield straight away. See if Alexei and Adam get something going here.
Corey Kluber had a no-hitter going to the 7th. Joe Mauer booked it up with a 2-out single. Pretty good move. Came off the bag. He's out.
Adam coming in feet first. Lost his footing.
Looks like he got his foot there before the tag. From that angle we saw.
That takes the momentum out of this inning.
Watch this from this angle. Now he gets a foot on now. The thing is, he comes off the bag, it looks like. And that's where Dan Bellino, I believe, waited, did not anticipate, and then called him out. It looked like a good call by Bellino. I hope our guys notice that quick move by Medlin.
Yeah, it's good. Nice.
Real good.
Snap throw to first.
You would assume they knew already.
Well, with all the information these clubs have on the opposition, you would hope that Eaton had that bit of information.
Yep. As a chopper foul.
Alexei getting a steady dose of sinkers down and in.
settling with Atlanta. That's low. And as a major league free agent by Kansas City in 2014, December of 2014. Hopper.
Got a good pitch to hit. Came around it.
Sox fans, show your White Sox pride on August 11th for Orgullo Sox Night, presented by Pepsi. All members of the Hispanic community, their families and friends can buy specially priced tickets at whitesox.com/Orgullo. Anyone who purchases through this link will receive a free Yo Soy White Sox rally towel. Breaking ball strike. Jose is 0 for 2, a line shot into center field, and then a fly out to right. Good pitch.
Yep.
Hit him on the fist, ate him up. We're halfway home, tied at 3. Game set. We're trying to salvage this game. They won the opener 3-2, and they won last night 7-6. Jared Dyson will lead it off. He's been to the plate one time, had a Kansas City special, a broken bat single in the right field. Just missed. That evens the count.
Sox want to do their best keeping this guy off the bases.
This could be one of the big at-bats of this game. Softly hit into left field.
Nice piece of hitting. Doesn't try to pull it. Gets one right out over the plate. Goes with it.
He's hitting .241 coming in. He's 2 for 2 today. But I'll tell you how he affects me. Every time we play the Kansas City Royals, first thing I do to look is their lineup and see if he's in there or not. And when he's not, I'm extremely happy. because of the way he can run, change the game, the way he has range in the outfield. There's Escobar. He started off that 3-run first with a walk. Then he hit into a 3-6 double play. Beautiful, beautiful pick by Abreu on a smash.
Well, there's no doubt Flowers and Quintana both are thinking about him over at first base.
Now that's one thing that the catcher cannot allow, or the bench, because whoever's hitting behind Dyson when he's on, you can't change your game plan on the hitter. You can't go strictly fastballs.
Yeah.
Believe me, there are a lot of catchers. You get a speedster on first, and they're going to go to the fastball. Sacrifice. They play basic baseball 101.
Well, they're going to try to get a lead going into the 7th, Hawk. That's been their formula.
It's worked for them.
Textbook bunt laid down right here by Escobar. Get Dyson into scoring position.
Well, Scotty, I've really got to commend you, buddy. First game, I knew you a little uptight. Yesterday, better and better, and today, terrific.
Well, I appreciate it, Hawk.
Terrific.
Thank you and the White Sox for giving me this opportunity to come up here and talk ball with you. I've had a blast.
Well, you know, it's like anything else. First time you go to play in the big leagues, you're a little uptight. To say the least.
Oh, yeah.
First time that red light goes on with that camera, you get a little uptight, to say the least. And now you're being Scotty Pies, the one we know and love.
It's been a treat.
There's a strike. Zobrist has struck out and grounded out to Beckham at third. That's what now Carlos is doing, what he's supposed to do. Even if you got to stand, give him Zobrist that hole over there. You've got to keep this guy from stealing third base.
You have to, because he's looking to run.
That's how he makes his living. Attaboy, I don't care if it takes 3 or 4 times. Break that rhythm. Did you rather have a guy hold the ball on you or just fake over there or throw over there?
Well, either one of them do disrupt your timing. And like we've talked about in the past, stealing a base is all about rhythm and timing, especially on second. So if Quintana can change his rhythm and get him to pause just a second, he's going to be able to affect his jump to third base. Dyson is trying to time it to where that right foot gets down right when Quintana is going home, and Quintana is trying to counter that.
You had your druthers and you had to steal one base. Would it be second or third?
I think third base is easier to steal.
Yeah. Tony La Russa, in situations like this, when Tony, he would have a second baseman stand right on the bag. Now, obviously, you can't do that and cover has a range, but he did not want that guy to steal third base. Carlos doing a good job. Doesn't make any difference now.
That's what they do to you, Hawk.
Yep. And they do it well.
Jam shot, base hit to lead the inning. Sacrifice him over. Another jam shot up the middle to take the lead. 2 softly hit balls. Zobrist not trying to do too much here. Pitch right over the middle of the plate. Gets jammed a little bit. Hits it right back up the box.
That's all he's trying to do.
Wasn't trying to do too much. Unselfish at bat.
Trying to go right back up the middle, because even though he had a big hole on the first side, Alexei, because of where Sanchez was playing, played more to his right.
Hawk, if you stay up the middle, good things are going to happen over the course of the season.
A lot of base hits out there. I wish I had learned that a little earlier. Hosmer, RBI double on a flyout, fairly deep left.
And Quintana left that pitch right out over the plate. You can't help but think about Dyson's presence at second base having something to do with that.
Not too many Tom Severs and Nolan Rhymes and guys like that around. They didn't care if you stole the base. Greg Maddux, they didn't care. Because they knew you weren't going to score. Yep. Foul. They get more out of jam shots, broken bats, Kansas City specials than any team in this league. I don't know about the National League, but any team in this league. They don't have to hit rockets all over the ballpark.
Now, because of that athleticism, they can get guys in scoring position.
Jay's got a good jump, made that play easy.
Yeah, he's smooth out there.
Well, that's one reason Kansas City is a better team than we are.
They know who they are.
That's exactly right. They come to the ballpark expecting to win every day.
Yeah, that's an attitude. That's a culture. Fun to watch.
Morales, a 2-run opposite field homer and a pop up to second when he just missed on that. Takes first pitch strike.
They haven't hit a home run this entire series.
They execute better.
String good at bat after good at bat together, and when you can do that consistently, good things are going to happen.
Makes it a little tough on that pitcher.
It does. They're not getting themselves out. They don't make mistakes. Constant pressure. That's what winning consistently at this level is all about, Hawk. It's not about home runs and doubles off the wall and diving plays. It's about the day in and day out fundamentals.
It's about coming to the ballpark and knowing or thinking you're going to win. And the only way you can do that is if you do play fundamental baseball. They catch it, they throw it, they put the bat on the ball, and they cover the last 9 outs of the game. He gone. But that was a Kansas City special run right there, and they lead it 4-3. That's text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway. Eat fresh. It's a 4-3 Kansas City lead.
Hawk, according to what the numbers say, it'd be nice for the White Sox to score at least 1 run in this inning.
There are some numbers that stand and hold true in baseball. A lot of them don't, but those hold true. What we're talking about. They're leading going to 7th inning. They are 49-3. And it gets better after that, going to the 8th and then going to the 9th.
That is impressive.
Cabrera has twice popped up. Infante. He can take it. See how low he got that fanny down. Glove goes down with it.
Yeah, there's not a lot that gets by him over there.
All right. Watch this. Now watch that fanny go down. Brings his head, his eye level down.
Keeps those eyes on it.
Yeah. Going to the 7th, as I mentioned, they're 49-3. They got the lead going into the 8th. They're 48-0. Wow. When they got the lead going to the 9th, they're 57-0. So that's why he plays for a 6-inning game.
I would too.
And after last night, they're 50-3 after 6. Well, let's face it. In the World Series last year, they were 1 out away from winning everything. And unless they had run into a beast, it had just one of the greatest World Series we've ever seen a guy have, Madison Bumgarner. They win the World Series.
They win the World Series, no question.
One of the great performances in World Series history by that big left-hander.
Yeah, he was in the head of that Kansas City lineup too.
Better believe it. Tampa Bay hung on to beat the Mets 4-3 down in St. Pete. Say, there's a club right there you don't want to play if they get to postseason. Mets. Oh, with that stuff they can run out there. On that bump.
One ball, 2 strikes to Ivy. Good pitch.
That's almost a perfect pitch right there, even though it wasn't a strike.
Perfect 1-2 pitch.
There it is.
Starts at the bottom of the zone. May look like a fastball coming in. The bottom drops out of it.
Here's Trace. He's 1 for 2. Ball hit hard, but right at Escobar. And that was quick. August 28th, presented by St. Xavier University. So come out to the ballpark for a tribute to the King of Rock and Roll, featuring performances by an Elvis tribute artist and a post-game fireworks show. So to purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. That's August 28th. Elvis night. Always a fun time at the ballpark. Perez has struck out and singled back to the middle. Just off the inside corner. Lays off that one. Just tuning in, they scored 3 in the first. We scored 3 in the third. They scored 1 in the fifth. Hit their first home run in this series. That was a 2-run shot by Morales in the first inning. That's into left field.
Quintana got away with one. He hung a little curveball there. Perez just missed it.
A little too quick. Got it towards the end. So here's Rios. He is single sharply in the left, and he flied deep, taking Trace Thompson back on the track in right center.
Outfield about straight up. Mr. Rios.
First pitch strike. Rios has been hitting well here. Last 13 home games, .326. Good pitch. Nice pick. He was starting to look like Paul Konerko over there. When he picks this, he's had to make this year.
That was Quintana's 87th pitch. He's thrown at least 100 pitches in his last 6 starts. Clayton Kershaw has the longest active streak with 10.
Paulo Orlando. He is grounded to short and fouled out to Avi. I say put a little more on that one. Orlando is retired. 1-2 quick inning. We're into the 7th. We need 1 to tie. because on Saturday, August 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Chicago White Sox Volunteer Corps, you can be a member, and First Merit Bank are teaming up to clean up the Elliott Donnelly Youth Center and host an end-of-the-summer barbecue for the youth and families at that center. So for more information, visit whitesox.com/volunteer-corps. whitesox.com/volunteer-corps. August 15th, clean up the Elliott Donnelly Youth Center for all those youngsters. 7th inning, Sanchez, Flowers, and Beckham face Chris Medlin, who has been impressive coming on. Back in the 4th, he's worked 2 2/3, giving up 1 walk.
He has thrown the ball well. Commanded the inner half of the plate, throwing his off-speed pitches for strikes. He's been effective. When you can command the inside part of the plate, Hawk, get that hitter conscious of that.
Got a chance.
Got a chance.
You know, getting back to Madison Bumgarner, what he did in that series last year. Madison worked 21 innings. He was 2-0 with a save. In those 21 innings, that ball hit in the left field. Paolo Orlando back now on the edge of the track. In those 21 innings, he gave up 9 hits, 1 walk, 17 strikeouts, 1 earned run, and his ERA was 0.43. And something even more ridiculous than that. In 2010, 2012, and 2014, in his World Series career, he's worked 36 innings, giving up 14 hits, 1 earned run, 5 walks, 31 strikeouts, and his ERA for those 36 innings in those 3 World Series is 0.25. Wow. Curveball strike. Tyler was hit by a pitch and struck out.
See Medlin, he's working both sides of the plate and then drops that curveball in for strikes. He's kept these White Sox hitters off balance.
Tries to get into chase.
Come on, Tyler. I picked you as my pick to click.
Good pitch, didn't get it.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Mazza and the crew. They had Trace Thompson. Manjo and the crew, they had Alexei. Breaking ball, 2 out.
Medlin commanding both sides of the plate, getting Flowers to chase.
Here's Gordon. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI single and a run scored. Takes first pitch strike.
Just pounding the strike zone, Hawk. Pitching 2 contact. Not afraid to throw in.
Got that one in. And the count 0-2. Hitters hate to face a guy who is persistent about coming inside.
Get you thinking in there, and if you're thinking inside, it opens up the entire middle and outer half of the plate.
Well, you take a 17-inch plate and make it about a 23-inch plate.
Yeah.
That breaking ball, nice. It's going to be 8 in a row retired by Chris Medlin. 7th inning stretch, we trail at 4-3. Home half of the 7th inning in a 4-3 Kansas City lead. They led it 3-0. We tied it with 3 in the 3rd. They picked up 1 in the 5th. So for the Royals, it'll be Infante, Dyson, back to the top of the order with Escobar. And Sox fans, the first 25,000 fans at a White Sox home game will receive a Merck's Cheese game card good for 75 cents off their next Merck's purchase at participating grocery stores. Like your bases and your burgers loaded? Well, if you do, you're a Merck's man. So purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. At Toronto, 2-0 win over the Yankees. Guess who went deep? Donaldson and Bautista.
That's odd.
Yeah. I'll tell you.
Encarnacion still in there? Like something happened to his wrist yesterday. I was wondering how serious it was.
He didn't play today. For Josh, that was his 31st homer. First inning off Tanaka, and Bautista is 26th off Tanaka.
Yeah, him and To the Whiskey both have pumped some energy into that club. David Price.
They're going to be tough to beat. They're really going to be tough to beat. Again, it's like watching the Kansas City Royals last year. When they got to that point, you could just see that they wanted it.
Yeah.
And they were going to get it. Toronto now looks like they want it, and they're going to try to get it.
First time in a while, and they're packing that house out, so it's some energy going on in Toronto.
It's fouled away off the end of the bat by Infante, who was 0 for 2, a strikeout, and it is a 6-4 fielder's choice. Well, Toronto, they just won their 8th in a row today. Now a game and a half back of the Yankees. Not too long ago, they were 6.5 back. Boy, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And it's you got 7 left with the Yankees in September. 4 in New York and 3 in Toronto.
Be some fun baseball to watch. Activity in the Royals bullpen. Looks to be Herrera.
That is high in the left field. Kelvin Herrera. First pitch he threw yesterday was at 100. Then he went down a couple of pitches to 99, and about his 4th or 5th pitch was 101.
Zach Duke getting loose in the Sox bullpen.
So here's Dyson. He's 2 for 2. Then off the 5th with a soft single in the left field. What new? Kansas City special. He came around to score after the sacrifice bunt by Escobar and a soft single by Zobrist into center.
Hmm.
0-2 the count.
Sun showing itself for the first time here today.
A lot of fans come out down in the stands, literally and figuratively. 35,785. $39,302 yesterday. 2 out.
Yeah, they are showing up to see what this club is doing, and rightfully so.
Well, they had 36,211 on Friday. So well over 100,000. Escobar 0 for 1 with a walk. That walk coming in the bottom of the first, and it started that 3-run first. And he hit a bullet. Abreu turned into a 3-6 double play. And he had that beautiful, perfect sacrifice bunt moving Dyson to second.
That's nice. And like you said, Hawk, a lot of hits up the middle of the field.
And let's check out our Xfinity speed replay coming in the 5th inning. Didn't hit it hard, just softly hit back through the middle. And that speed replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Curveball strike.
Pitch. Quintana hitting hitting a 100 pitch count again today. His last 7 starts, he's reached the 100 mark. Letting Escobar know that he knows he's over there.
That roller was hit sharply, but foul.
Outfield straight away. A little bit of room in left center. Bar with an average lead at first.
And that's foul.
Nice pitch there, spoiled by Zobrist.
Bottom of the 9th in Detroit. Red Sox leading the Tigers 7-2 in that game. Jackie Bradley has 5 RBIs. Brock Holt has the other 2. Bradley just a terrific defensive player.
Should sleep well tonight. 5 RBIs.
One-two pitch. Just inside. Got ahead of him and is now full.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Escobar will be on the move.
It was just getting me over breaking ball and got away with it. Carlos Gonzalez for the Rockies has hit 2 home runs. Both of them off Scherzer. He's got 25 now. Just talked the other day about them getting rid of Cargo.
Good solid at bat put together here by Zobrist. Grinding another at bat out. Spoiling some good pitches by Quintana. Waiting on a mistake. 9th pitch of this at bat. Professional.
That's a tough pitch to lay off of. Did have just a piece of the bottom of the zone, and he didn't get it.
Seeing if he would go down and chase it, and he didn't.
So that's going to be all, as Quintana once again pitching well. He was 3 in the first, 1 in the 5th. He departs trailing 4-3, and we'll be back. It offers breaking alerts and more. So visit whitesox.com/blacklist to register today. There are the numbers on Zach. 3-4, 3.53, 49th appearance. Good opponent's batting average again, just 222. And Quintana, 6 2/3, partial line. 4 runs earned, 8 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Of course, the 2 runners, Escobar and Zobrist, his responsibility. So here is Hosmer. He has an RBI double. He's 1 for 3.
Outfield shaded to the pull side, relatively deep.
Two 2-0. Hendricks, Morales on deck. Just off the corner. And there's one.
Three balls, one strike, two out.
That'll load him up. And let's check out our fourth drive of the game. Let's counting into the first inning. Fastball up out over the plate. He's a very strong man. Here comes Coop out to talk. Is that? A well-attended three-game set. Total of 111,298.
Good to see. This ball club has pumped some life into Kansas City.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of the George Brett era. Two down. Sacks packed with Royals. As he takes ball one.
40 of Morales' 78 RBIs have come with two outs.
Well, that pitch had part of the plate. That was a strike. Didn't get it. The chopper. Nice pick, nice peg, nice play. And that'll retire the side. We're into the eighth. We need one to tie. Waiting 0 for their guys. They have stranded 5. 3-4-0 for our guys. We've stranded for 2. Medlin 3 2/3. He was very impressive. Ramirez, Alexi, that 2-run single. Morales, that opposite field 2-run homer in the first inning. And the pitching change coming on is a hard throwing right-hander. Caddy Galvin Herrera.
Yeah, you got to get it ready for this guy. He's going to 99 to 101. He's coming at you with, so he's going to have to get it ready.
Mike Moustakas moves in for Ben Zobrist at third. So the Royals now around the infield. Moustakas, Escobar, Infante, and Hosmer. In the outfield, Orlando, Dyson, and Rios. Here's Adam 0 for 2 with a walk. And that pitch at 97.
Hawk, this is where your leadoff guy makes his hay. This is his job. Get himself on base and try to get in scoring position.
That's sort of hard to take one for the team at 99 to 101. They're in the low 90s, high 80s. That's another ball game there.
That one there at 99.
Well, Herrera 5'10", 200 pounds. That's why baseball is such an intriguing game. They come in all sizes and shapes. One, two. That ball hit hard in the left. That's going to be over his head. So he will start it off with a double. That is his 19th two-bagger.
Nice piece of hitting here by Adam. Not trying to pull it. Got a pitch right there on the outer third.
That's the first pitch he's really stayed with.
Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah, it was. So now Alexei has got a job to do. Don't care how it gets done. He's got a job to do. Moustakas at the cut of the grass at third. Hosmer in on the grass at first.
Hawk, whether he's looking to bunt or hit him over, he's got to get his pitch to do it with.
Trying to shove it to the right side there. Gap out there in left center. That's not what he's aiming for right here. And that's knocked down by Debo. And the count 0-2. Like I say, taking 2 shots there. Now the only thing he's got to try to do is just make contact.
Yeah. Put the bat on the ball at least. Tried to go upstairs. Lexi just getting a piece of it.
That one at 101. 101 miles an hour upstairs. Good job just to get a piece of it.
You're right. Those are tough to get on top of.
Fighting gravity and 101 mile an hour fastball. Yes, sir. That'll get the job done. And they just do get him. But Adam Eaton in the third, and that'll bring up Abreu.
Great at bat.
Yes, it was. Good. Yes, it was.
Got to pitch up. Ideally trying to hit the ball over to the right side, but hit soft enough, able to get Adam over to third base.
That's a heck of a play by Escobar. If he catches it in the glove, he's going to beat it. Beat him on the transfer. So here is Abreu with the corners in. Escobar and Infante right now halfway, but they'll be coming in. Infante wants to know if they want to play him halfway. He said no, come in. That one at 100. Jose is 0 for 3. He's lined hard to center, flied to right, and popped up to first.
Good pitch to hit. Little up, but at 100, that's tough to get on top of.
Well, that's a good pitch off Herrera to hit, because you're looking for that 100 mile. That one at 99. Big pitch right here in the scheme of things. The 1-1. Breaking ball. So advantage goes to Jose.
Look for a pitch in your spot.
Look at the play by Moustakas.
He's done it all series, Hawk.
That's the 4th outstanding play he's made in this series.
Yes, it is. Here it is. It's not an easy play. Checks Adam back. Plenty of time.
Well, he is not a tall guy. He's got a low center of gravity. He gets his behind down, and that's one reason he can make so many good plays like that, because he's so low.
Moves well for a bigger guy. Good footwork.
So it's up to Melky. Melky's 0 for 3 today. And there's a base hit in this game. It's tied at 4. Melky Cabrera with a first ball fastball. Not trying to do too much. Knocks in Adam Eaton, who doubled. So he had a good at bat. Alexi had a good at bat. Abreu had a good at bat, and now Cabrera.
Yeah, Herrera left this one right down the middle of the plate. Cabrera puts a great swing on it. As you mentioned, Hawk, not trying to pull it. Finds a hole. Put good at bats together, good things will happen.
So here's Avi. 0 for 3. He's due. He's grounded to second, gone out to right, and struck out. That fastball at 100.
Good job of Cabrera picking up his teammate Abreu.
No 2. Got him. But we pick up a run. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, tied at 4. on-demand video on over 400 devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions may apply. So visit MLB.tv for details. Pitching change. The Jake Meister coming on. Third Sox pitcher, and it's really good to see Quintana catch a break and get off the hook.
Yeah, he threw the ball well today. You just got to credit the Royals lineup for getting a couple of timely hits, but his last 7 starts, he's thrown the ball well.
Jake's got Perez, Rios, and Orlando. Since Quintana's been in a White Sox uniform, he has not gotten off the hook many times. Giovanni Soto behind the plate. That fastball up high. Perez grounded to second, singled. Check that he struck out, singled, and gone out to left. Get me over spinner. 1-1. Softly hit, ate him up. One out. So here's Alex. He's 1 for 3, a single. Fly deep to right center. And he's grounded to short.
Hulk, that pumps me up to see the Sox leadoff hitter get himself on base. And
it does, doesn't
score
it?
the tie.
You love it. I love it. Well, just it's a game changer. It changes the game. That's why I said Ricky Henderson, greatest offensive player I've ever seen. He batted Leon. Walked, hit home runs, stole bases. As crazy as it sounds, you'd rather face Mantle, and Mantle than Henderson, and Henderson.
Yeah.
That is a base hit by Rios.
Caught just a little too much plate with that sinking fastball.
So here's Paolo, Orlando. 2 grounders to short and 1 foul out to Avi. Boy, he looks like a blueprint of Alex Rios. Same size, same build. Look a lot alike at the plate.
Stances are identical.
Yeah. That ball hit hard. And we catch a break right there. That is a ground rule double. Rios read it perfectly. He was going to score. Meanwhile, 1 out. Ducks on the pond.
First pitch fastball. He's sitting dead red. Got it. Boom. Didn't miss it.
And if you're just tuning in, he was just recalled this morning from Omaha. And he hurt us the last time we were in here. Rios was hurt. And now the infield's going to come in for Infante, who has struck out, hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice, and gone out softly to left. Takes first pitch strike right there.
him up. Look at the play high, safe. High throw, good throw gets him, and it's 5-4.
Rios getting a good jump off of third base, going on contact. Bray makes a nice barehanded play. Yeah, Hawk, you got to, that throws around waist high. You think it might get him.
He's out. So here's Jared Dyson. He's 2 for 3 with a run score. That'll be very well aware of the bunt possibility here with this guy.
I was thinking the same thing. Brayu needs to be aware over at first.
And with his speed, it's going to be tough to turn the double play.
The count. Ryan Madsen. Outfield short. There he goes. Jake on top of ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, good sinking fastball there. Rod coming around it.
Tops that one down. One out, Ducks on the pond, 1 in. 5-10-0 for them, 4-6-0 for us. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Two and two. And another chopper foul.
Outfield shading Dyson to the opposite field side.
And another foul. a good fastball right underneath the hands, Jake.
Another good at bat here by a Royals hitter.
They can make it a little strain on the pitching staffs. Payoff pitch. Wing up Escobar. He's 1 for 2. A walk, a run scored. That walk started off that 3-run first inning. Also a sacrifice bunt. They got the job done. They moved Dyson, who had singled, over to second base, and he scored on the single by Zobrist. And then Escobar singled last inning. If you're just tuning in and this is the first game you've seen of this series, this has been a series that's been a poster child for execution. Royals have executed extremely well, and our guys have not.
Yeah, that's been the story of the series, Hawk.
He's a good first ball fastball hitter. Rock him up. Jumps all over that first ball sinker. And we're into the ninth. We need one to tie. They lead at 5-4. Bottom half of the eighth. 5-10-0 for them, 4-6-0 for us, and a pitching change. There are the numbers on Ryan Madsen, 34-year-old, 6'6", 225-pound right-hander out of Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Real good sinking fastball, good changeup. He's going to look to sink that fastball down and in on these right-handed hitters.
Trace Thompson, 1 for 3. Grounded to second. Sharp single in the left and a sharp ground ball to short. Thompson, Sanchez, and Soto as that pitch taken inside.
96 miles an hour.
At the bottom of the zone, evens the count at 1. So the Royals trying to have a 3-game, 1-run sweep. I think they opened a 3-2, won last night 7-6. Lead here 5-4. Out and around, that one hooks it.
Change up at 84. Had Thompson out in front of it. Backdoor sinker, started it away, brings it back over the outside part of the plate, getting Thompson to roll over it.
Here's Carlos. He walked to start off that 3-run third for us. Came around to score, also singled, and went out deep to left field. That off the mask of Perez. Marquez going to give him a little time to recoup. Alfonso has had a good day behind the plate.
Yes, he has.
As did Chris Siegel in the first game.
Last night, not so much.
Last night was terrible. That's the first time in a long time I've heard a clubhouse that upset after a ball game by umpire. There's the strike.
Change up in at 85.
He's in the big hole, 0-2. Carlos, get on for Gio.
It's a good one. Change up. Down and away with some action.
Gio has faced this big right-hander 6 times, has 1 hit, and it was a home run. Gio making his first plate appearance. Takes first pitch strike.
97 miles an hour. Cutter there at 93, just missing the outside part of the plate.
And the count 2-1. A little bit high.
pitch track had it just catching the top of the zone.
And the 3-1. So 2 out, full count, top of the 9th. And we trail at 5-4. So we get swept. 3 one-run ball games. We lose at 5-4, and we'll be back.